All right, I'm back. Got my little clip. I got a lighter, and I got this beautiful big green juice, and I'm going to drink all of this. It's actually really sweet. This stuff tastes so good, bro. Look, it's almost halfway. All right, so basically what I want to talk about today is some of the things that I have realized has been going on in my family, as far as like my parents, and like how the things that they've done have caused me to think and act a certain way. In November, I just learned a lot about myself. It was kind of like another one of those dark night of the soul moments where I was just really like having to come to reality with certain things that I didn't really see before. Like my father's a narcissist and my mother's a codependent. The relationship that my parents had was an abusive relationship. Now, when we talk about like the spectrum of abuse, it goes so much farther than just physical, because usually physical is usually the max of, or the climax of, a buildup of other emotional abuses or mental abuses. So like, for instance, like my dad is really passive aggressive. He guilt tripped me a lot when I was younger into doing things that I didn't really want to do. Like I remember when I would come home from school, he would always want us to like sit down and watch videos, because he felt like, you know, school wasn't going to teach me certain things, and he was right. But I feel like the manner he went about it, if I didn't want to do anything, it would become, well, oh, I come over here and I slave and I do, you know what I'm saying? Like parents have this tendency to make a child feel responsible for decisions that they made as a parent. Like, you put yourself in this predicament, I'm just a product of it. And I feel like that's like the hardest thing for parents to kind of like do for their children when it comes to taking accountability for the situation that a child is forced to deal with. Like, and a lot of times in my household, like I felt like I was made responsible by my parents for my existence. Me as a child, I'm not responsible for what happened in you guys' marriage, because a parent and a lover are two different people. And it's like, I feel like I knew my parents as parents, but then it's like, even as a child, sometimes we sensationalize and put our parents on pedestals as if they're supposed to be like these super people, but in reality they're just regular people like you and me. It started when I launched my business. I launched my business November 1st, Body Cosmetics. Go check out my business page if you haven't already. And I got a phone call from my dad, and this phone call lasted about 5 hours. And in the midst of this phone call, my father basically admitted to me that he was okay with emotionally traumatizing his children if that meant that they would be better people, or better, you know, people that function better in society. As a child, I witnessed a lot of abuse. Now, this isn't like abuse like, you know, I mean, I don't want to like knock it off, because abuse is abuse, but in the spectrum of abuse, I feel like the spectrum of what I witnessed was very normal in, you know, ethnic or African American households, as far as like how they choose to discipline their children. You know, they like whip their kids and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So like, I experienced that as a child, and I saw it with my sister, I saw it with my younger brother. You know, I've even been like slapped in my face like really just slapped out of in my face, really disrespected as a child, for doing things that were, you know, wrong, or, you know what I'm saying? So like, the justification for wanting to discipline your child is correct. I feel like it's all about in how you choose to discipline your child, because that turned into, I personally feel, me becoming a bully at a young age. Even my dad used to tell me I used to beat kids up for not wanting to be my friend. And when he told me that, in the moment, I'm like, well, why would I do some crazy shit like that? You know what I'm saying? Especially like knowing who I am now. Like, I'm so nice and I'm so caring of others, a little bit too caring of others people's emotions and feelings. So to know that I was like violent like that as a child just confused me a little bit. And I think it wasn't until like I started analyzing my father and like my relationship with him that I realized that me beating up kids at school was a reflection of what I was seeing my father do at home to other kids. Like, if you don't do what I say, I get to whoop you, basically. I feel like that's how I internalized it as a child. And you know, then I went as a child, because you're always learning from your environment, so you go and you act that way as a, you know, at school, and then you get repercussions, the same repercussions for it at home. So now you're getting your ass beat. So it's like, you know, what are you really learning here? When I was younger, like, I was probably used as a pawn because, you know, narcissists have like labels for their children. So like, they have a golden child, a black sheep, and the lost one. I would think of myself as a golden child because I was his first child and I'm his daughter, so it's like double whammy there. And I think I was just like, they usually call them the golden child because they're the best at being manipulated, low-key, and they're the best at they just have better obedience, I guess you could say. I was very obedient to him because, you know, I loved my father and I wanted his approval. And I think me wanting his approval turned into like him being my validator of like my feelings. So it's kind of like you're like doing something, and then you know how that one parent walks into the room and now you're like, you know, constantly like looking to make sure you're doing the right thing, you know what I'm saying, to make sure you're not doing anything wrong. That's kind of like what that is. When he left, like, it kind of made me feel like I wasn't worth staying for, because as a child you internalize that it's your fault why your parents left, you know what I'm saying. It's just what kids do. So I think that his absence led to my abandonment issues, led to the decline in what I felt like was my self-worth. So instead of being like this ambitious, outgoing spirit of a person that I was when I was younger, because I was very like now that I look back at it, as a child I was very like secure in who I was and just very ambitious and like ready to put on a show and just like life-loving. I could be a little demon sometimes too, but just like really life-loving. And when he left, all of that changed. So instead of him being someone that I went to validation for, it became everyone else who was around me. So now we're gonna go into my mother, right? So my mother is a codependent in this abusive relationship, because you always have one. Because at the end of the day, the codependent and the narcissist both have the same wound of unworthiness within themselves, and they both, you know, suffer abuse. You're seeing two opposite sides of the same coin, and you're seeing two different reactions to the same pain. One is to become the abuser, and the other one is to believe that you deserve to be abused. So when my father left, I was with my mother, who was the codependent in this relationship. Now my mother is a very sweet woman, and this woman really wouldn't hurt a fly unless you pushed her to. So when my father described some of the things that my mother did as a child within their marriage, it was kind of like, I've only seen that side of my mom like a handful of times. And usually when it's like that, damn, all these fucking planes. Hold on, I'm puff. Usually when it's like that, she's like had her like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of like that too. So, but I feel like after the divorce, my brother's right there.
How long I've been standing? You feel like look on camera.
Really?
And see me. Yes.
I have not seen you. So yeah, so I feel like after the relationship, my mother was just really emotionally like, and this isn't to make excuses for her, but I'm just saying, like, as a, you know, she was just very emotionally like not as present as I needed her to be. Like, she was just I feel like she was just, you know, emotionally toughening herself so that she could provide and function, because sometimes dealing with strong emotions makes it hard for you to function when in the process of healing. And it's like, on top of that, even knowing how to heal. And when dealing with a narcissist or dealing with someone who's just like emotionally manipulative, it's even that much harder, because you spend a large majority of time separating your thoughts and what you know to be true from what they want and what they think is true, because they spend majority of the time making you think that you don't really know how you're feeling. Like, emotional, and that's why sometimes it's a very, like, narcissism is usually like a trait in men, because it's a very like toxic masculine energy. Like they're out of balance, but they try to tell everyone else that you're out of balance emotionally. But it's like, I'm not out of balance because I have emotions. Like, I'm not out of balance because I care about how I feel when someone says something to me that I don't like, or tell me something that I like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my mom just kind of like cut off for me, and that made it even worse, because it's like, well, damn, like, I don't really know who to talk to. I don't really know. Like, I would ask her what would happen in the marriage, and she would just tell me like, oh, it's nothing, it's fine. Or, you know, she didn't want to affect the reflection I had of my father, or the perception that I had of my father. She just wasn't emotionally available, which is why I look for that in a lot of these niggas that I be fucking with. I'm looking for emotionally unavailable people, because I experienced that from my mother, and my dad was absent, so he abandoned me. That's abandonment issues. So like, the whole thing just makes a really toxic boyfriend for my ass, right? But another thing I got from my mom is like this sense of people pleasing. So like, if you've ever felt like in a majority of your friendships, in a majority of your relationships, in a majority of your family like relationships, if you've always felt like you've gotten the short end of the stick because you gave more than what they were able to give you, you're probably a people pleaser. Or if you feel like you always need to save people, or if like your first intention is to like help somebody, even if it's at the deficit of yourself, helping people is okay. But helping people to the extent where it's like you're just putting all of your energy and all of your work and all of your, you know, who you are into trying to build this person up to the point where you neglect what your wants and your desires and what you're trying to do, that's a people-pleasing behavior. That's a codependency behavior. Because look at my cat. Because you feel like the only way you can find your validation is through other people. That this formed for me was school. It's like he doesn't know he can't get through the glass, but was through school. So in middle school, I was like bullied. Like, when I tell you, picked on, and it was worse because all of my like bullies were smart ass fucking people. So like, I was in honors classes at a really young age, and I used to hate being in honors classes because the people there were just so mean to me. And I think I had, you know, but as a child, I was also super sensitive, which made sense because it's like my dad just left the house. All this crazy stuff was going on. On top of that, we moved from Florida all the way to Chicago. So it's like, you know, I'm in a new environment. I don't even know, you know what I'm saying? None of this I'm used to. And I'm just really hurt. Like, my spirit is kind of broken a little bit. Well, it was as a child, because it's like I lost what I felt was the best thing on the planet, you know, my father. But it's like also my family, you know, I felt like everything had changed. My sister was getting older, my relationship with her got older, and at the same time I had just got a new baby brother. So it's like, I used to be a baby, now all the attention is taken off of me. Like, this is just a terrible situation, like and I was just holding on to every little thing. And then on top of that, it's like I wasn't getting any real emotional connection from my mother. So it was just like, fuck, like I just feel so alone. and I just feel like I'm not worth it. And then, you know, you think that as a child, so reality is going to prove you right because your perception's fucked up. So now it's like you're going about life like, I'm not worth it, you're right, you know what I'm saying? Because every time you like get upset and you like cry and you break down, it's because like whatever they said hurt you. That doesn't mean that what you're feeling is invalid, but that means you have to figure out why that hurt you and what the best decision is to make sure that like that's not happening or it doesn't happen again. You know what I'm saying? You have to determine if it's really them or if it's really you. But it's like, as a kid, nobody teaches you that shit. So you're just sitting here like internalizing everything and every little thing that these kids said. And it just made me feel like I felt like shit about myself. I think the first people-pleasing, dismissive, you know, because it's like the more I get bullied, I'm like, well, if I'm super nice, nobody will not like me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like regular kid shit. Like, now that I look back on my past, it's like I don't even blame myself. I don't even blame my parents, because it's like we're just big kids thinking. Like, we're just a long line of thought and we're just making conclusions, and you know, sometimes we're acting out of our emotions. Like, it's chaotic as a child. Like, I can get how it can be pretty hard to figure out, especially when you have nothing to go on but your environment and what they tell you is going on. So it's like, as a kid, I just felt really outcasted. Smart as a whip, but hated being, I remember 6th grade year, because 5th grade year was hell. I got bullied out the ass. That was probably the worst, to the point where I started like becoming, you know, back to my abusive, like throw a tantrum phase, which is actually a trait of my mother's as well. Because when we feel like we're not being heard, or we feel like we're just being disrespected, we just want to explode, because it's like, at this point, what else can I do to you? It's just, I'm trying to get your attention that this is not fucking okay. And it's like, you throw a tantrum, they still laugh at you, like they call you crazy, all this other stuff. But you know, I was just feeling so much, and I didn't know how to calm myself down, and I didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to that would really understand. Like, I would talk to my mom and she would just be like, I understand, but like, you know, and it's not because I don't think she wasn't trying her best. I think it's because she just really didn't know what the fuck to do, and she already had so much other shit going on. So right, the first people-pleasing relationship I got into was in middle school, and it was a friend. I'm not gonna say her name. Let's just make up a name for her. Lily. Let's call her Lily, right? She was like the cool girl. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, well, if I get cool with her, nobody will bully me. So I got cool with her, you know what I'm saying? And I think we just naturally became friends because we like the same things. But it's like, you know, she was growing up in an abusive household and stuff like that too. But it's like with her, it's like it was a competition. Like, you could tell, like I feel like part of the reason why we were so cool is because we both grew up in houses with narcissistic, like, guardian figures, parent figures, examples. Because I feel like her grandmother was a narcissist and her mom was a little bit of it too. For real. Like, honestly, and I ain't gonna lie, that's been a reoccurring friendship also. I'm not gonna cap. And I was a people pleaser and she was the narcissist. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it was always a competition. Anytime I was winning, she would want to stop playing. You know what I'm saying? Anytime I like felt a little bit good about myself, she would like, you know, she would just say slick shit to make it seem like, you know, she was better or she had something better. You know, this could have also been a way that I was internalizing, but I don't think so. I remember there would be this thing where like she would tell secrets to me and then she would not tell me secrets and then tell secrets to someone else. So it's like, well, why are you telling secrets to her and not telling them to me? Like, that's like, I think we called each other best friends. It's so long ago, I can't remember. But it's like, I was your best friend. Like, I'm over your house every fucking weekend and shit. And then but I always felt like I could never really tell her how she hurt me. I could never really tell her how I felt. You know what I'm saying? I had a hard time defending myself when she would do slick shit. And anytime I did, she would make it seem like, oh, like, that's not the way to handle this. Like, grow up. I'm not even doing that. All this other stuff. Bullshit. You know what I'm saying? All types of shit. We fell out. I forget what happened. I don't know why we fell out. It was so long ago. But basically, one morning, I was crying. And I remember they all got on the bus, because it's like, you know how you all got a bus stop, so we was all at the bus stop, and they were just picking on me the whole time. And I felt like it was like me battling against Lily, like, and I was just having a hard time defending myself. And you know, because it was just so many people against me, I felt like it was already the whole school, but because she's a popular kid, it's like the whole school plus her. I'm sure I did something wrong. I don't remember what I did wrong, because maybe I did something wrong. I don't remember what I did wrong though. I don't think I did anything wrong. I don't know. If I did, it'll come back to me. They all went against my ass, and they all literally like made fun of me and clowned me. And then they all got on the bus, and I just remember feeling like so worthless and just so fucking like disrespected that like I didn't even want to get on the bus. I started screaming and crying my way walking to school. And then one girl, one lady who I guess was a mom, she pulled over the side of the road and she picked me up and put me in her car. You know what I'm saying? I got in the car. She's like, let me drive you to school. Because she just like hearing me cry and scream and like to the top of my lungs. Like, she put some lotion on my hands because it was cold out. This is the Chicago sweater weather. You know, sweater weather. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's cold. And I'm out here just walking to school. Because it's like, I can't go because, you know, and it's like, I knew the way by heart. It was just going to take me a minute to get there. But I was about to walk to school. And, you know, I basically told her how I was feeling. I didn't really want to talk about it. And I just held all of that shit in, like, and it, you know what I'm saying? Eventually, thank God, I guess just learned how to, like, not let it bother me so much. But, like, I was still bothered. So 6th grade, I was in regular classes. And regular classes was cool because, I don't know, them people are just nicer. Like, they're just nicer. They're not so fucking uptight. I didn't feel less threatened by them. Because it's like, I don't know if it was just a difference in mindset. I don't know if because, like, because I didn't really feel like I was beneath them. Like, when I got in regular classes, I was like, shit, I'm in regular classes. Like, I knew that I was like a little bit faster paced, but they weren't stupid, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, I've always just been known as a smart kid or a mature kid, so it's like I didn't think about it. So then when the principal called me and my mother to the office and told me that my test scores were too high, so I have to now transfer to the higher classes, which so happened to be filled with all of the motherfuckers I hated and that hated me, I cried. I fucking cried. I was like, no, like, please, anything, like, please. I was begging her. She was like, no, you gotta go. And 6th grade got bad again. Like, it was going so smooth, and then it got bad again. So when I finally left the school, instead of being like, I'm gonna be this new person, and like I was thinking about it like, oh, I have a second chance, but like the way I acted was like, I have a second chance to be nobody because that's safe. Like, they used to pick on me for my singing. I stopped singing in public. I love singing. If you really know me, you know I love to sing. I love to write music. I'm musically inclined. Like, I used to join fucking theater and shit, like, in middle school. But it's like, they made fun of me. They used to tell me I'm annoying. They used to tell me I'm fucking ugly, I'm stupid. All these fucking words, bro. And I believed every single one of them because I didn't have any other example in my life that proved that I didn't, and it started with my mother and my father. Not saying that it's like all their fault, but just to hold people accountable, that's where it happened. So it's like, when my environment outside of my family reinforced that, when I finally got a chance to start over and go to a new place, I completely stopped being who I know myself to be, which is a vibrant person. When I went to my new school, I was still very nice because, you know, I still held on to that people-pleasing behavior because that's safe. But it's like, in my head, while I'm people-pleasing, I'm like, well, you know, they're not really gonna like that, so let me not tell the truth, or let me not really think of myself. Or, you know, I'm kind of afraid to tell them the truth or tell them how I really feel, because I'm afraid I'm gonna get backlash. Being afraid to have beef with bitches, dead ass, like, really. And I'm still kind of like that, you know what I'm saying? One, I'm just not a mean person. Like, I just don't have any meanness, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really sweet and down to earth. I feel like now what I'm doing after all of the trauma is just learning how to have that even middle ground between what both of my parents taught me, which is not being abusive, but also not taking abuse either, and not abusing yourself, because a lot of abusers already abuse themselves. A lot of the abused already abuse themselves. Like with my father's side, all of my academic life, all of my school life, like, I overachieved because that was what was expected of me from my father. Like, C's and D's weren't allowed. And it's like, don't get me wrong, those are good things. But, like, it's another thing when it's like, I fail and I'm, like, hard on myself now because I failed, even though I know I tried my best. Or maybe I didn't try my best, and it's like I could take accountability for that, but it's like I'm punishing myself in my head. Like, sometimes I, like, especially when it comes to things that you can't help or things that fucking happen, like when you mess up in life or you're just irresponsible, like, I have, like, moments where, like, there's an imaginary person, like, beating the shit out of me in my head. Like, well, not an imaginary person, the person is me. Like, I'm beating the fuck out of myself in my head every time, like, I'm upset at myself, or every time I, like, you know what I'm saying, unhealthy ass shit. This is really fucking unhealthy. Like, and it doesn't mean I'm crazy, because I feel like we all do a form of this. Like, we all have baggage. It's just taking the time to really figure out what that is, so that you can heal yourself, and in the process get rid of the fucking generational curse that has been, like, sustained throughout your family. I feel like this is super important for African Americans. It's, you know, just because I'm African American, but all people, like, we all do it. The president of the United States is a representation of the narcissism that thrives within this country, or else he wouldn't be up there. It's about your fucking ego. It's running the fucking planet right now, and we need to figure out why. We think that it's just like this one big person. The one big person is us. I feel like no matter where you're going in spirituality, no matter, like, the big guy is the little guy. The little guy just doesn't know it, and they're trying to keep us like that. You want to see the world change? Change yourself. Reflect what you want the world to reflect back to you. And we don't do that. We're so busy trying to put people in boxes, which makes sense because it's easier for us to categorize and, you know, understand a feeling. It's necessary. But at the same time, the way we go about putting things in boxes is like, now you want to cage the animal and, like, revoke it of its fucking freedom. And it's meant to be free. You can put it in bags to categorize it and understand what it is, but you're supposed to put that shit back, because it's meant to be what it was before you came into contact with it. Like, for instance, if we came down here with a set goal, it is completely detrimental to that child to try to sit there and, like, control where it's gonna go and what it's gonna do based off of what you want and what you see for them. You have no clue what their purpose is. They do. But with people pleasing and codependency, it's like every person you meet, it's like, I need you. You know, not every person, but, like, the people that you have a connection with, it's like, you know, I need to save you. I need to, like, I want to see you do good, so I'm gonna, like, take the extra time to do that for yourself, even though I need to be doing all these things for myself. But I'm just, you know, I'm gonna be extra thoughtful for you, because seeing you do good means that I do good in myself. This is the same thing with narcissism, but instead it's like, I want to see you do good because I can do good too if you're doing good, and when you're doing good, I can mooch off of you and steal your energy. It's real complicated. I hope I'm making sense. I'm really finna end this video, but it's like, I just want to say, like, know your traumas. Like, it's so much more I could really tell y'all, but I just want to give y'all a few examples of how that works. It is what it is. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'm finna like chill on my balcony because it's so pretty, and drink the rest of my green juice because it's so good, and smoke this blunt because it's so wavy. It's not even a blunt, it's really a clip. But I hope y'all had a fun day with me today. I'd love to see y'all again next time. And I hope y'all have a beautiful day and slay some dragons. Alrighty, bye babies.